everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Musicians in Berlin Eating Hummus. This podcast is brought to you by Bands, Rock Band Workshop for amateur musicians. For more info, go to our website at www.bandsberlin.com. Our first guest is a very talented musician. He's a saxophone player, he's an Ewe player. He tours a lot around the world and in Europe, playing his own material and playing for others. He's also band's creative director. I enjoy talking to him a lot, and I hope you enjoy too. So without further ado, let's have some hummus. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, man, you brought a lot of cool stuff here.
Yes, I brought some. I was intending to bring some hummus from an actual hummus place, but because of the times of the corona, unfortunately the place was closed. I didn't know that, so I decided to bring some hummus and other hummus stuff from the Edeka. So let's see what we have here.
That looks, that's good.
That's a hummus jalapeno. We have a hummus and like dry tomato. Some tahini. And,
all this you can find at Edeka?
Man, all this and more.
All this and more.
All this and more.
All this and more.
Yeah, it looks okay. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Looks okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And guys, we know one or two things about hummus.
Yes. I mean,
with all modesty.
Enjoy. So,
enjoy, man.
How long you've been in Berlin?
4 years now.
Okay, so let's hear about you a little bit about yourself, like where you're coming from.
Yeah, so indeed my name is Omri Abramov. That was the name that was given to me by my parents.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In Jerusalem, 1989.
Ah, really? You were born in Jerusalem?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Actually, when I was 3, we moved to a city called Caesarea. It's a beautiful city on the seashore, like of Israel,
mm-hmm.
like ancient Roman city and stuff. So basically, I don't think I went enough times to the seashore, to the coast as a kid. Like now I can appreciate it more living in a city like Berlin.
Really?
Now
Wait a minute. Were you on the shore? Were you close to it or what?
Yeah, 10 minutes walking.
Mm.
And it's pretty amazing shore. So
yes.
So like now I could. You can only appreciate things in retrospect. You know how life is. So I grew up there. After the army, I was like 21 or 22. I was more like into the music career, and I moved to Tel Aviv. Mm-hmm. Did my music career there for almost 4 years. No, for more than 4 years, and then I moved to Berlin.
Okay, but let's start first. What brought you into music in first place?
Well, first of all, my mother is a musician.
Really?
She's not an active musician, but she was a musician. She was a very, very promising classical pianist.
Okay.
My father is also a big music lover, so we always had music at our home.
Also classic?
No, like my father is more like the Pink Floyd vibe, or like stuff from the 70s, or like Israeli music from the 70s, which is beautiful, which will bring me, I think it kind of brings me to how I actually, to a moment that I remember, that I actually, from myself at least, maybe became a musician. It's funny, there's this moment that there are some moments that you as a child, you really remember, mm-hmm. like the whole memory. So one of them was like, I was riding with my dad in the car, and suddenly there came this song. There was an album that I really liked. It was like a collection of Israeli artists from the 70s. Mm-hmm. I think I was 6 years old, maybe a bit younger. I remember the exact place and stuff, and then came this song, and I was just like, Father, what is that? Yeah, Daddy, what are we hearing? It was a song called like Shuv. In English it means like here she is again. Mm-hmm. She's here again. And it's just a beautiful song, like it's super melodic, but on the other hand, very rich in harmony, very smart in the form, just a classic. For me personally, that was the moment, when my heart went out to it.
Okay,
you know?
so like it was a special, like a special connection, feeling with that song in particular. Not
Absolutely.
lyrics. You mean like it was the melody or the?
It was all together. I couldn't even understand the lyrics, man. So, to eat falafel is tricky while doing a podcast.
By the way, this is kind of good.
It's not bad
It's
at
not
all.
bad at all.
No,
Huh?
it's not bad at all.
I mean, if I would put it on a plate without a plastic, and I would say I did it.
You just needed to warm up the falafel.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'm talking generally about the hummus.
Yeah, not bad,
Yeah.
not bad, surprisingly good. Regarding your question about the song, I guess as a kid I was more listening to the melody since like it's also good lyrics, and maybe I didn't even understand most of them, you know.
No, but actually, it's a good point because, like, for example, I never know the lyrics, you know. I think like most people are just basically kind of like divided to the melody and more like the lyrics, because like some of my friends, you know, immediately knows all the lyrics and can sing it. Like I can listen to a song a million times and I will never know the lyrics, you know. It's an interesting point. I mean, like, do you find yourself like listening to songs and then realize after years of listening to them, actually I don't know what they're singing about?
All the time. I'm more like you. I'm more like you in that sense.
Why do you think that is?
Well, we're relating to the musical aspect of it more. Maybe people who are less. It's not necessarily less musical, because it wouldn't be true to say, but it's just like less dealing with the melodic part of it in their mind, would go after the lyrics. But what I like is that, you know, you do when you hear it, you do get some words.
Yes.
And then you complete some sort of picture in your head, and then how often did it happen to you that the actual picture, if you actually read the lyrics, was totally different from what you said?
Not even connected. I mean, like it's
all the time, right? And
yeah.
that's beautiful, you know what I mean? It's beautiful because you created something in your mind. So for example, you know, it happened to me also with another favorite of mine, like, you know, for example, Genesis, you know, like this whole all the Selling Even by the Pound album, but especially like let's say Firth of Fifth.
Wow, that's an amazing piece.
Yeah, exactly. It's for me, it's the master. For me, it's I call it the Bohemian Rhapsody of Genesis.
The path is clear, though no eyes can see.
In my mind, it was like I created all this imaginary world. And then when I actually read the lyrics, I saw that it's less imaginary than I thought, you know? Like I thought like about like this whole album, I thought about elves, I thought about like all these kind of forest animals, or because they're talking about forest, but they're talking about like more people and what they represent, you know? Like, but then and I still love the lyrics. I think they're super deep.
So what, you take a moment to go over lyrics in certain songs, or like it's
I do.
Yeah?
Recently I do it more. I do. It's actually important to me. Yeah. Because, well, the process with me is like that. I first like listen to it many times from the musical aspect. I get some of the lyrics, but I know that, all right, I need to maybe dive into that song because probably it's good. It's definitely high art. It's definitely has a message. Might be worth diving into it. So, for example, the last thing that I was really diving into was, for example, the whole album Black Star, you know, by David Bowie, which is like very, very deep, very deep thinking. So, you know, it got me all, and then when I listen to it, it's just like deepens, and I just like connected to the whole concept of the album. Aside from the music that I really liked, the whole concept, it became something more.
So what you are now describing is kind of like a process of you just, as a musician, absorbing like a new album.
Well, you know, like one of the things is that for a long time, I'm still, you know, like my instincts, and maybe because of some skills that I have, I tend to listen to album in a technical way, but I try not to do that. I try to absorb it as an experience, you know, like as much as I can, just like as a journey. You know?
Is it technical? You mean because you hear the notes?
I hear the notes. I hear the notes. I hear the form. You know, I have enough experience to understand if a form often can disappoint. For me, great artists, they're not doing anything like, all right, now we're going back to chorus, so we have 2 choruses, and then we go back to no, it's always, instead of 2 choruses, 1 chorus, or they cut it in the middle. It's constant journey. You don't come back to some point, because that's boring, you know, like, or that's like
the usual form.
You never go usual.
But many artists are doing this?
In pop,
I mean, most-
of course, in pop it's very, but not only in pop. That's how I actually do my preferences personally with artists. You know, like, and don't get me wrong, repetitiveness is not necessarily what I'm talking about. Like, if you have some meditative music or something, that's great. You know, because that's a zone for itself. As long as you are constantly 100% in. But sometimes what happens often is that like someone brings a song and then they're or produces it himself and then or out producer from the outside comes and they're just like presetting it, you know, and there's these presets or something that I don't like, you know.
Okay, but I want to go a little bit back. So you heard this song in your father's car, you were amazed, and then what happened? You realized you said you were playing something before already, or like
I was playing maybe a bit the
What?
recorder. It's a very simple one, but you know, like I was playing like the recorder. You know, I was
Nice.
playing like all this.
I
like,
now remember that actually every kid, at least
Exactly.
my used to play this when like in first or second grade or something like that in school. From what I remember, maybe your times.
Yeah, definitely. I was like that, and then there, they saw that I might have some musical talent. I was encouraged to keep it, you know, like the music. But
By
then, and then I was just doing it. I was enjoying being a talented kid. This is soprano recorder, and then I went to alto recorder, tenor recorder.
Oh, really?
Played a bit the piano, a bit the flute. Then I had like about a year or more. I was maybe 11. I switched school. I had a year or more that I was not doing music. Up until that time, you know, I was a kid. Man, I liked also to play soccer. Then my mom told me that I'm at new school. There's like a saxophone teacher that she heard is good if it's interesting to me. And then in my mind, I had this like cool dude with glasses playing saxophone. Also,
From the Muppets.
yeah, exactly.
What's his name?
Don't remember his name.
Yeah.
Also, there's like a song. Back then, I loved a song by Mashina. It's Israeli band. It's called like the Dance of the Machine. Yeah.
Yes, Rikud, Hamechona, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and then like it's a melody with the saxophone, very famous in Israel. So that's what I had in mind. I remember still my first lesson. I had a fantastic teacher back then, like really, really amazing person.
What was his name?
Nimrod Graf. He was an amazing person. He actually, very unfortunately, he died from cancer a couple of years ago. But he has a very, I think, important role in my love for music and for improvisation in its core. Till this day, you know, like to this day.
So you started with him when you were 12 or so?
I started when I was 12, and then
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you-
or 13.
So you never thought about? I mean, for a kid in the mid 90s, I guess, was it? Or
Yeah.
Seattle rock is something that's going on, you know. I mean, basically MTV just came to Israel. You always see guitars and drums and like, you know, Guns N' Roses and things like that, maybe Metallica. And you were never drawn to this kind of like instruments. You were like
I was, but not in the way that it's cool. I think later on when I was like 14, I think I did study drums for like a year or something, you know, like but just because it was cool. So the funny thing is, like, I cannot tell exactly. I'm trying to recall, but it's like it was something like I'm doing it cause well, funny, the most like honest way to say that I'm doing it because I'm good at it and it's like it brings me attention and I also like it in some way. But I didn't have this moment in the car. This is what I'm saying. Like like this moment in the car wasn't in my mind. You know? I didn't connect this to what music means to me. That only came years after. Years. I'm talking about like even after I had my higher education. And then in Nimrod, he sent me to another teacher called Erez, was another very important person in my life. It is like he knew that Erez will give me this language. Already, I was 18. I was sure that I want to try to be a musician at least. You know, like it's something that I love, and it's really like.
But from the beginning, you knew you wanted to play jazz.
Sort of, yeah. So
Why?
So all right, it brings me to that point that I wanted to play this Dance of the Machine when friends came to enroll and stuff. I remember the exact point that for me maybe I became a jazz musician. I told him, he showed me what is saxophone today, what do you want to study? That's cool. I told him, I see this, it is cool. He told me, what is a saxophone tune that you like? I told him Rikud Hamechona, this Dance of the Machine. He told me, that's okay, that's nice. Come listen, I want to put you something. He put for me Michael Brecker, which is like one of the greatest. He was one of the greatest like saxophone players and musicians to ever live. He put an album of him playing also the Iwi. It's like a combined Iwi and saxophone thing. I was just like, my jaw dropped. I was just like, what the fuck am I hearing? Like it was
Really?
it was like, oh my god, you know, like explosions in my brain. And then
It didn't scare you?
and I was so fascinated, and I was a kid, you know, like it didn't scare me. I always had this competitive thing, you know, so I like in a way that I see something, I wanna, if it's really important to me, I wanna attain it in a way, you know, like, so I wasn't scared of it, and he was the perfect person, you know, because he knew in a way how to present it in a non-threatening way. Definitely in an admirable, it's 100% admires the music. It's like something big, you know, he was making you feel that it's something big, but not in a way that would scare you, in a way that would inspire you. And I think that's pretty much that exact moment was like, all right, man, I'm yours, teach me. You know, like, yeah.
So like basically you were lucky to have like this person as your teacher. I mean,
Absolutely.
Do you think like as a musician is it a must to be able to go on stage or I mean like that's the only way you like I mean
No,
like,
definitely not.
That's
definitely
the
not.
end goal of it.
Definitely not. But this is why I personally like jazz. Like, if you'll ask me, I really am happy and glad, and that's like to be a jazz musician. You know, to be dealing with the music of the moment, as I call it. You know, it's not about the improvisation. It is about the improvisation. It's not about like the tradition of jazz. What is jazz? Jazz as American music, as like all the American tradition, which I studied a lot and I still love and I still like go into a lot and still is a big influence. But jazz as an essence is, for me, the music of the moment. So you can say that Rechter are jazz to me because they're always in the moment, you know, and they take the risks. They take the risks even in live acts, you know. And Tom York is like just like a person who takes risks, you know, like so you cannot. It's not jazz, of course, but it's the experimental entirely and the improvisational, and you always give this edge in yourself. That's the important thing. There's an edge in you that is getting excited from the current moment of music. Then when you have ways to get it out, and you, the more skillful you are, you can more let it out in a clear way. That moment is gold. That moment is where people connect their heart to, you know, like this is where you open your heart and people will open their heart to you. This is like,
these are very rare moments. I mean, it's very hard to get to them from what I know. For example,
this is why they are gold. Right?
Wow.
You don't gotta find gold everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like, but when you reach it, and if you receive the love, if you open your heart and you receive the love back, it's addictive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What happened after you like after obviously you were in Israel, so you had to go to the army. In the army, you also you were a musician.
Yeah.
Okay.
This I wanted to be in the army. But I thought like, all right, if I'm here, I want to at least contribute to what I know how to do. Don't want to sit in a freaking office. That like if you know me a bit, it's that the last thing I can do. You know.
So what were you playing in an orchestra? Or what was it?
Not an orchestra, just a rock band. It was my first introduction to the rock world in a
Really?
sort of a professional way. Yeah, no, it was my first introduction. Yeah, over there I started to know about like radio, about like just generally. Even Eric Clapton in a way, you know, like just
What
like
year?
all the it was 2007.
What was the purpose of this? Like you were doing like concerts or what?
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it?
we were doing like a lot of concerts. We even flew. Actually, we had even like in Germany, we had like a delegation to Germany.
So do you think this experience contribute something to your? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
musical-
That's what I'm about to say. So it led to maybe one of the main things that I was doing in my musical career in terms of like just career, but it also contributed to me musically and personally. Closer to the end of my service, we were having this collaboration. A guy who is a friend of mine right now, Niv Tor, is a trumpet player. He was coming to do reserve duty, and he was pretty busy already with some pop industry guys. And he liked my playing. We had a good connection. He brought me to play for Idan Reichel, which is like, he's pretty much I think he's the most successful singer in Israel. The least amount of people that we had is like 2,000. It went up to 20,000.
You mean like
people,
in a concert?
Yeah, in one concert, yeah. And we would do sometimes almost 20 concerts a month.
Wow.
I mean, that was definitely my job. Like on many stages, I played in some jazz festivals in a lot already.
Okay.
But being this night after night, in front of like thousands of people, and it's different audience than jazz. They dance, they are like just in front of you, like, so it's like a pretty overwhelming. I learned a lot from him in terms of professionalism, how to build up your act. So it was a lesson in this showbiz thing for me, Then I met a guy, Shkolnik. He's one of my best friends. He's like one of these persons that really great musician. Well, I always wanted to have my own act. And then at some point we just decided to do a band together. And that's Niogi. And then we created more and more stuff. We did our first EP, and then like after a while we recorded actually in Oslo. We recorded our first album, which is very legendary.
When was that?
2015. Guy has like a PhD on the fugues of Bach, Then we got to talk about this song, Here She Is Again, from Yoni Rechter, which apparently was also a turning point in his life, funnily enough. Yeah. It started to emerge, this connection between, for example, the music of Pat Metheny and to Yoni Rechter, to stuff of the Beatles and Bach and all these like very just amazing musicians like across the globe, across timelines, that were like just like dealing with very good music, very strong voice leadings, very compelling message, and it started to emerge to me that, wow, man, this is why I am a musician from the first place. The specific points of like when I was when my first teacher put this Michael Brecker tune to me, when I was listening to Yoni Rechter, those moments started to emerge as important moments, because this is essentially the starting moment and it's the ending moment. That's like what the whole essence of music is, what your loves are and how it's fused inside you so you can create your own self, that's so for me this whole process in Niogi, this is how it started. I was becoming more of a fuller musician. And then we recorded our first album in Oslo, in Norway, And it was after this recording that I decided that we thought, all right, that's the time to make the move right now. We knew that we want to move. I knew that I want to move. I already quit the Dan Reichel project because I knew that I want to move. You know, like always making a move is a bit of a hard thing to do, so it takes time until you really do it. But for me, it was kind of the trigger. All right, the album is gonna be released now. We have dates in Europe. We have a European label. And we have these festival dates here and here and here. We need to be in Europe right now. All right, so you know, like within like a month, we made all the plans and we moved together.
Okay,
Guy
you
and
moved
I.
to Berlin,
Yeah. About 2 years ago, well, honestly, I was going through like pretty. It was maybe the roughest and most like strengthening time of my life. So both my main relationships in life ended. I was having a girlfriend for 4 years, and it ended. And at the same month, a guy decided to go back to Israel. You know, it was all leading to that. All both these breakups were occurring in the same month. I think it was around May or something, 2018. And then I was just like, I was pretty, I would say maybe broken. I was maybe the only time that I can remember I was being truly broken, you know, like in a foreign city and stuff. But I did have some offers for tours and stuff from bands. Not always great paying, but for me at stuff I was not always in a genre that I would be so much into. But for me at this part I was just like I just wanted to be active, to be out of the house, to be part of something. I always liked working with new people. So I just took all these offers. And I started collaborating with tons of different musicians, and sort of like really from experimental avant-garde stuff to like pop thing to like free jazz to electronic, techno even, and then like it started like, and you know I would find myself in the weirdest places, and then I understood that man, I actually like this. I actually like this thing. Collaborating, meeting new people, being on the road here and being on the road here. It doesn't even matter the amount of money you make, for example, or stuff like that. Just like being on the road with different people, getting to know different people, getting to meet different societies, different countries sometimes, you know, like, so I think that was a moment that I took this as, this is what I want to do. In my own thing, I want to have still my own band, playing with it, but I like the essence of being a collaborative person, of like bringing my essence. I don't want to be again in the position for working for someone else using my 15%, but I want to always be active, bringing my essence, but collaborate with new people, learn from new people, you know, like whether they're super different from me or share the same loves with me, you know, like just like everything. And then I started to shape a bit, like what I want to keep more permanently, what not, you know, like, but I'm still, I would say that I'm pretty open, you know, for any new thing to come.
Okay, I have a few questions I would like to
I wanted to say something about Guy. He started a channel explaining about music. He will connect for you like stuff. He analyzes a lot of Permetini music, but also Radiohead music, also like songs by the Carpenters sometimes and stuff like that. And he connects that to Bach and how it's gonna very, very, very interesting.
You should check this
but
out.
I think for band members that would be super interesting first of all. Yeah, so I really recommend checking it out. Yeah.
A few questions, kind of like in general questions. Do you sing in the shower?
I sing all the time.
You really singing like songs?
To myself.
Okay, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, to myself. Like sometimes I don't, but all the time I have music in my head. So sometimes it will just like without knowing. Apparently, I sing when I eat. This is something that everyone.
Like a
always
certain song or like just.
No,
just
I always
make it-
have some music. It can be like the theme of the last 30 minutes in my head. It can be just improvised music, new in my mind, or it can be just a song that was before, or just me improvising on that song.
3 or 4 musicians or people that influenced you in particular that you would recommend or something like that.
Pat Metheny is a guitarist, jazz musician, improviser that went way beyond just the traditional jazz. Did a lot of collaborations, really sort of world music. An amazing composer and improviser just of its own, and it just like has so much work out. So and probably many people know. Another musician that I really like is Keith Jarrett. Also pretty much probably people know the same kind of just music entirely that is much broader than just the traditional world of jazz, just like playing and incorporating all these pop influences and stuff. An amazing piano, pretty much the best top improviser in the world. Like another musician that I really love, I'm giving a lot of jazz musicians here. I will try also to give David Bowie, definitely. Just like when I actually only acknowledged, I only came to really go deep into him after Black Star in 2016, but since then I'm in love, man. This guy is just fucking is the shit, you know. Like Radiohead, definitely. Brad Mehldau was definitely checking out.
Who is he?
Brad Mehldau is a pianist, also a jazz pianist, and he is from current times. He's doing a lot of stuff. He's also a top improviser, like amazing top musician, you know, like in just any aspect. Is also amazing. Just as a note, there's a songwriter that I really like called John Bryan. He also produced some of Brad Mehldau's recent album, but he actually composed for many Hollywood movies. He was maybe, I think, even partners with like romantic partner of Amy Mann, but maybe I'm not sure. And he produced a Fiona Apple kind of stuff, and he's just like a brilliant songwriter. You can find a lot of his songs in many movies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, thank you very much to Omri. It was a nice hummus and a nice conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, it was a pleasure.
1.5 hours.
Yeah, great idea having this podcast, and
see you next time. Hear you next time.
yeah.
Ciao.
That's it for today. Thanks again to Omri. You'll find all the info and names in the link below. You're more than welcome to leave a comment. And join us again when we meet another musician and have another hummus. Ciao.